Good afternoon and welcome to San Francisco. I want to thank the Commercial Law League of America for honoring me with this totally surprise and unexpected award of the Lawrence P. King Annual Award. I was not expecting it, not anticipating it, and only a few days ago when Judy Miller and Peter Califano called me, I still am pinching myself because I don't believe it. So especially when I look at the list of prior award winners, it's like walking into the Hall of Fame. Anyway, as I understand it, the King Award is dedicated to the standards and devotion that Lawrence King devoted to a lifetime of bankruptcy practice, and in particular his ethical treatment of debtors and creditors and the public. With that in mind, I want to thank a few people, not the usual spouses and children and staff. They get the thanks anyway. It's really Professor King himself and a number of other giants who I had the good fortune to meet way back in 1973. I was very new at the practice. I had a mentor and an inspirational leader in the form of August Rothschild, a distinguished practitioner here in San Francisco. And in 1973, Mr. Rothschild took me to the NCBJ in Atlanta. And that was my first NCBJ, and in the connection with that and in the few years that followed, I went to countless meetings of the American Bar Association, Business Bankruptcy Committee, the National Bankruptcy Conference, the NCBJ again and again, and during all of those times and in all of those organizations up till 1978, the Bankruptcy Reform Act was being developed not only by Congress, by an incredible number of people that I had the good fortune to participate with and sit with in meetings. Professor King, Professor Peter Coogan, Professor Frank Kennedy, Professor Vern Countryman, George Treaster, Harvey Miller, the list goes on and on. To be frank, I felt like a junior varsity player getting to work out with the dream team. But over the course of that time, I was, by osmosis or something else, I learned an incredible amount of substantive bankruptcy law and how to go about understanding the profession and the practice. I was honored about a couple of years after the Reform Act when Professor King, and I still want to call him Larry, I don't think I ever called him Lawrence, invited me to be one of his contributing authors on a Collier Practice Guide series that he was doing. And that was a great experience also. But sometimes it's just better to be lucky than good. In 1982, the Supreme Court came down with a marathon case, and suddenly bankruptcy practice was in a dither. And I had the good fortune to meet in that year Judge Carlson, who is speaking on my behalf today. And he and I and others, a small group of people, were able to participate and develop what became the emergency rule to keep the courts functioning. Then a few years after that, I had an opportunity to apply for a position to be the bankruptcy judge in this community. And over the years that followed after I was selected, and so obviously in the spirit of thanks, I'm not only thanking all of those giants in the past, but I'm thanking the Ninth Circuit for selecting me. And after that, the public and the cases that came before me that allowed me to apply the substantive law, but more specifically the principles that Larry King and others taught me. And so in the course of my nearly 24 years as a judge, I've had interesting experiences, big cases, little cases. I know the League and Peter Califano in particular I feel strongly about trying to get the venue rules changed, so maybe some of the so-called big cases will show up around the country. Well, you know what, if it's your truck being repossessed or your house being foreclosed, it's a big case. And I find that cases of that size or the giants like the Pacific Gas and Electric case, they're all big cases to me, and I appreciate the opportunity to have handled them and to have worked on them. For example, in the course of my judge career, I've had 2 or 3 cases involving small churches that are divisively split in their membership, and of course they end up with financial difficulties. Those were as big as cases as you can imagine to the faithful members of those churches, and having a role in their resolution was very inspirational and helpful to me. Also, I thank the Ninth Circuit again for appointing me to the Bankruptcy Appellate Panel, where I served for 10 years. That was a wonderful opportunity right as BAP CPA came on the books for us on the BAP to address countless cases of first impression. And to the extent that I was able to offer any contribution to the evolution of the law in that area, again, I like to think that my friend Larry King and all of those other giants helped me get to where I am today. So again, if he were here, I'd thank him personally. By way of thinking back, I thank them all in my memory for what they helped me become, and I thank the Commercial Law League for giving me this treasured award. Thank you.